Howdy. How you doing today? Thanks for joining me for this prayerful pause of the pastor. I'm Pastor Deb Swift of South Presbyterian Church. Do you read the paper? I do. I generally don't read it as a paper thing unless I'm in a restaurant by myself and they happen to have one. Or maybe if I'm traveling and they slip one under the door. But I read the paper, every day on this. I have several subscriptions. Probably you do too. I do the Washington Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and then the local Democrat and Chronicle. I learned to practice the other day that I want to share with you because it's become really an interesting spiritual discipline for me. I don't do it all the time. Don't have the time. Sometimes I'm scanning the paper just to get the things I need to know in order to minister to people. That's one of the things they never teach you before you go into ministry. You're going to have to stay abreast of current events on the news even when you don't want to. And this is one of those times when I would rather not have to be as au courant with the news as I have to be. But, it comes with the job. Because how can I be present with people if I don't really know what's going on? That's my complaint for the day. Thanks for letting me vent. But a couple times a week now, I do a practice that's called praying the paper. Did you ever hear of that? Maybe you did, and I'm new to come to this. But praying the paper, and you can do it with a real paper. Or you can do it with your phone or wherever you receive your news. Go into reading an article with a sense of praying. And so as I'm reading about a killing, I pause and I pray for the people involved in that. The officers, the victim, the victim's family, the bystanders who witnessed this, who will never be able to unsee what they've seen. All the people affected, if I'm reading something about Ukraine and I pause and I pray about whatever the article is about, and then I can broaden it and pray more general prayers about Ukraine. If I'm reading some celebration of a wedding, a marriage, I offer a prayer for that. Somebody who won the lottery, I pray for them. Praying the paper. It's a great practice, and I'm sorry I didn't know about it years ago, but it's really enriched my life now and made reading the news and watching the news much easier. Every story is an opportunity for us to pray, to offer those people or those circumstances into God's care. How might that change you? I know how it's changing me. How might that change you? If suddenly everything on the news was an opportunity to pray. We talk about this prayerful pause of the pastor time as a few moments to think of something greater than ourselves, to become anchored in something greater than ourselves. I think what happens to many of us right now, and I hear this from many, many people, several of you, is that we get listening to the news or watching the news and we get absorbed by the news, and then we have to fight and scramble back to reattach to our faith, get anchored again in our faith. What would happen if we were to pray the paper so we establish that we are looking at the news, whether it's, it could be broadcast news too, it's not just the paper, but so that we set up a prayer zone before we turn on the television or before we pick up the paper. We enter into prayer and then we take in the news. It puts it in a whole different light, doesn't it? It's like it puts it through the filter of remembering that God is there and here. God is present with what we are taking in. Pray the paper. That's your assignment. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, keep praying. But make prayer the center. Make prayer the chalice where we hold the space for the news to be placed. Okay? God bless. Take care. Bye for now.